Reality on the ground, real people, real issues. We're coming to you live from, of course, Sky's Hotel. And today it's not just like those usual days. Of course, I know in the Montua 1C, we go to the people, we talk to them where they are, and we get the real stories. Today is one of those special days when we're tapping into the life of an icon born way back in 1965 in Soweto. And she's a mother, she's a grandmother, she's an artist, she's a philanthropist. And not only that, she's one of those ambassadors we've had who are fronting the fight against HIV and AIDS and measles and the African girl child on the continent. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm tapping into the life of Mama Chaka Chaka. Nice to meet you. Good to see you. How have you been?
Well, life is good.
You look so beautiful. And you're not aging, Mama. What is the secret?
The secret is Aspatia. She, Mako, you know.
Oh, dear.
And Mac.
And Mac.
Do those things. But not plastic surgery.
Oh, no.
Makeup. Yeah.
I understand this is not just like those days. It's a special day. You're back to Uganda. You've always preferred to call this home.
I love this place. I was here a couple of months ago with Minette, thanks to Joe and all the people from Minette Group. They always bring me back home.
Wow.
This place. But, this time, I'm invited by Shule Foundation.
Okay.
On Monday, I was performing in Kisumu, in Kogelo for President Obama.
Wow.
Which was very, very humbling, you know.
Yeah.
The Minette Group as well, they made it possible for me to go there, and Tuli Piri. But when Jackie, whom I met a couple of years ago, in New York, by the way, said, I don't know you're African. This is
Let me get closer to Mama. This conversation is getting intriguing.
And I wanted to come to Africa.
Okay.
And she tells me, I decided to go to Uganda. You know, I love Uganda. And I'm buying this piece of land. I'm doing this. And I'm like, what are you doing in Uganda?
Yeah.
Because Uganda is like my home. And she said, I'm doing something with street kids.
Wow.
And I must say, you know, in the past 15 years doing all this philanthropy work, I never thought about street kids. To me, it was about AIDS, TB, malaria, immunization, nutrition, and all of those. And it never crossed my mind that street kids are our children as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I grew up, there were no street kids.
Yeah.
You were my son.
Yeah.
They were my sons. We looked after each other. We looked out for each other. But today, we at the homes, the people who are supposed to be protecting these kids, we abuse them, we beat them up, we don't give them all the nitty-gritties to grow to be big boys or big girls. Then they resort to going to the streets. And I really want to commend her for that. And that's why I'm here, to do that fundraising show so that we can take the street children's, street kids of Uganda back into the classroom. Because really, we want them to grow up and be good men as well. Because I've heard that there are some street kids who are good people today.
Absolutely, they are. That is a great cause. Now we all know why Mama is back here. And Mama, there are a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. I want to go a little backwards. Sugar Shack. 1991, when you first appeared. I still don't know, and I want you to actually, you know, put it into perspective. You're the first black child to be on South African TV. What was the experience like? Take me through it.
You know, Sugar Shack for me was, you know, when you're a young girl, I must have been, what, 13, 14, 13? It really wasn't a big deal. There was no TV in South Africa, remember? TV started in 1976, and it was TV1, just for white people. And when black TV started, which was only TV2, in 1981, it was between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock, and it was just cartoons.
Wow.
There was absolutely nothing, no advertisements, no anything. And this guy called Bernard Joffe, I think he was ahead of his times. He was amazing, because that was real TV.
Reality TV.
Reality TV at that time.
Yeah.
And he came to Soweto, he was white for that matter. He came to Soweto, looked for children who could play instruments, who could sing, who could read, by the way, who could dance, who could do all sorts of things, and who could sing. And I think he just got a liking for me, because when he packaged everything, I was the first one to appear.
You must have been smiling.
And I did not even see myself. We didn't have TV at home. I just had a couple of people, because TV was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Very few families had TVs. So I actually went to some couple of neighbors' houses to go and sort of watch myself, but it really was not a big deal because lots of people did not have the TV. Yeah.
Wow, I understand that. When you're growing up, you grew up in a family. Your mother was a public servant. The experience was tough, and you stayed with a excuse me, you stayed with the two boys in there. You were a rebel when you're still young, and these boys, Louis and David, do you even reach out to them? Do you know what they're doing today?
Well, you know, the madam whom my mother worked for, David and Jan, they, they were the madam's boys. And Louise and Vivian, madam had 4 children. Unfortunately, I don't see David a lot because he lives in America. Jan still lives in South Africa, and Vivian and Louise live in South Africa. And the woman my mother worked for, Pat, she is like my mother. My kids call her your white mother. So I still reach out to them. We're like one big happy family. She turned 80 2 years ago, and I was at her party. So we still see each other.
Wow, that is so great. Absolutely. Now, I get that into perspective now. She just turned 80 and you attended that party. And you've sung for the cream de la cream of the world. You sang for Dr. Madiba Mandela. You sang for the Queen. You've sung for Clinton. You've sung for the big shots. How is it like to sing for these people in high places? Does it take the usual routine of prep and rehearsals and stuff?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You know, in my 33 years in the music industry, it has taught me to be humble. It has taught me not to take anything for granted. It has taught me to, you know, I still rehearse. I go for rehearsals even now,
That's
you know,
discipline.
today, exactly, because you can't take your fans for granted. Doesn't matter whether you're performing for a charity show or you're performing where you get paid lots of money. Preparation is always the best thing. So, you know, practice makes perfect. That's what people say. So I've been very lucky to have been able to be given a chance to perform for the people that you've mentioned. And today, performing to raise funds for the street kids, it makes no difference for me. It still requires the very same routine of rehearsing and perfecting my art.
Perfecting your art.
Yeah.
Oh, that is something great. We are celebrating, a day ago, we're celebrating 100 years of Papa Madiba. Take me through your experience with Madiba, because you were there when Appetite was still running. You experienced a lot of it, and you saw the struggle. You saw him struggle for this. What was the feeling like?
You know, growing up, we knew that there was a man called Mandela, a man called Steve Biko, a man called Oliver Tambo. We heard about them. We didn't know them. In fact, with Mandela, it was even worse. We didn't even know what he looked like. So the regime in South Africa hid all the books, hid all the pictures. I think it was just his family that knew what this man looked like. But we were encouraged by people like Mama Sisulu, who would have been 100 as well, stalwarts of the struggle, you know, who would teach us about the importance of equality and the atrocities of apartheid. So it was really, really amazing when he came out of jail and embraced his tormentors and said, let's work together and be a rainbow nation, even though there's no black or white in the rainbow. We had to become one. So for me, I am really, really, really proud to have been born in South Africa during this great man's time, who's taught us love and just to inspire to be very good people. And you know, he would have been 100 if he were alive. We need to live his legacy. We need to make sure that we are selfless, because he was. He was selfless. He did things for others. And yet he was a revered man, a great man, an amazing man, and the man of the world.
Wow. There you have it. You're celebrating 100 years of Mandela, if he was here. And what is the relevance of this celebration to the youth today, to the current generation today? I was listening to Barack Obama when he was making a remarkable speech about Madiba the other day. But you, as Mama Africa, what are some of the vital key components we could pick off Mandela and we actually run them today?
I think not only for South Africa, but for the whole world, because the struggles of Ugandan youth is the same with the struggle of the Kenyan youth or the South African youth or the youth in Tunisia or anywhere in the world. So there's a lot that can be learned from this man. We can learn a lot from him. We can, South African youth today, let me put it in this perspective as a South African.
Yeah.
We call them born frees. They don't know what apartheid is.
Yeah.
They go to school wherever they want. They live wherever they want. They roam around the streets wherever they want very freely. Exactly, very easly. They don't carry passes. Our mothers, even us, there was curfew. After 11 o'clock, black people were not wanted in town. There would always be a curfew. But today, our children are free. All I am asking from them is that they should know where we come from and that so many people died for this freedom. It didn't come easy. People died. People were in exile. People were in jail. People were arrested because they were just fighting for equality, human rights, just basic human rights. So for our children today to have everything leveled for them, it did not come easy. So I usually say to the young people, they shouldn't take freedom for granted. It's important for them to work very hard because now the avenues are opened and they can compete with the world. So that is the great thing with freedom. But with freedom comes responsibility as well. Yeah.
Wow. There you have it. Freedom comes with the responsibilities. Yes, you can do on the internet, you can actually do a lot of things, but what is your responsibility? Mama, as a mother of 4 boys, that means a lot. That means a lot. I saw you with one of your sons when you were in Tanzania the other day. And what does it mean to have a mother, like 4 boys in your house, besides security, of course, you're secure. But what does it feel like to raise a boy child in Africa?
I think, I'm just grateful first to God for giving me these boys. Yeah. Whether it were girls or boys, for me, a child is a gift from God anyway. It doesn't matter whether it's a girl or a boy or whatever. But it is not very easy to raise children, period, whether it's a girl or a boy. When I go around doing my public speaking or doing all the work that I do, I always say, there are countries where young children get married. They get taken. It's important that we let these children be children, not brides, And there are countries where they would say, let's take boys to school because a girl is going to get married and they'll leave home. I think we are making mistakes, big mistakes, as fathers and mothers. We need to empower these boys and these girls equally because whilst we're talking about empowering girls, we can't leave the boys out as well. Whilst we're talking about girls' issues, we can't leave the boys out because these issues go together. Remember, these boys and these girls, they interact, and we need to be empowering them together so that they know how to grow up together, how to respect each other. Obviously, a girl or a woman is taken out of a man's rib, but not to be trampled upon, not to be tortured, not a girl to be a doormat, but to be loved. We are feminine, but at the end of the day, we are all equal in the eyes of the Lord. So it's important that when you teach a boy to be a great man out there, responsible, caring, loving, but knowing that this woman is not my doormat. We are equal in the house. Yeah.
Wow, that is such a great perspective. Just the way you brought it. We have men who have gone to school and they're illuminated with education and they actually know family planning. But society has still deemed the African woman to have as many kids and later on they become a burden. How best can we handle this?
I think, it's like me falling pregnant and take my child and give it to somebody else. It doesn't work like that. My child is my responsibility. All we want governments to level the playing field so that when I go to the hospital or to the healthcare center, medication is there, so all the amenities are there. So there's a lot of education. I mean, 3 days ago when I was in Kenya, I was brought to tears when I went to a healthcare center and there was a young lady who had twins and they were crying because her family was saying, because these are firstborn children, we need to kill one twin.
No.
We don't want both of them.
No.
I had to plead with people who were there, elders around the community. There were government people, thank Lord, and to say, can they protect these children? So we sometimes hide behind our culture to do all these atrocities, whether it's FMG, whether it's torturing women, whether it's marrying girls at a very early age, whether it's having girls not being able to plan their lives and saying, I'm happy with 2 or 3 children. If I've got 8 children, I must be able to support them and give them the love that they need. Because if that doesn't happen, that's why we end up with street kids.
Yeah.
That's why we end up with children who roam around and not knowing, because we're not giving them the love. So it's our responsibilities as families, as mothers, as fathers, to look after our children. Because, as I said, you can't bring your child, you can't fall pregnant and think somebody else must look after your child. It doesn't work like that.
Wow. There you have it. Mama there was tough and she was serious. Mama, let's go a little back. Love with a DJ. This was one of the first songs that actually went platinum. Who wrote this song and how did you get to sing this song?
You know, after completing my high school, I was meant to go and study law.
Yeah.
My mother wanted me to be a lawyer.
You would be a good wife, though.
I don't think so. I would have been probably a hopeless lawyer. I wanted to be a chartered accountant because I love numbers and I love money, by the way.
Oh, dear.
Because I work for it.
Oh, yeah.
But things just turned around the other way. I think God always has a plan for us. I'm a strong believer that everything happens for a reason. And when I started singing at the age of 19, you know, nobody believed in me.
Yeah.
It wasn't very easy. But thanks to Phil Hollis, who put his money in Yvonne, you know, groomed me to be where I am today, wrote the song. Artie van Wyk wrote the song, and they were actually looking for young girls at that time. So I happened to be at the right place at the right time.
So others had not tried out the song with
They
their
had.
demos? And
They had. Other people had come because the song had been written.
Okay.
So they had different girls coming to come and sing, you know. And I guess I was at the right place at the right time because when I went into Phil Hollis's office, they played the song and I listened to the song. And, you know, you don't know the song.
Yeah.
You're just hearing it for the first time. The phone was irritating me.
Yeah.
The thing that really irritated me
Yeah.
was the phone, whereas that was the catch.
Ah.
And they gave me the words and I looked down. Raining in the city, nowhere to go. I'm in love with the DJ, you know. And
Doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make sense. And it was a Friday evening, and I got given money to come back to the studio on Monday.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of the 33 years in the music industry.
Wow. And that was a good one. But how does the name Chaka Chaka come through? Because I mean, Chaka Chaka, like it's something that it's something we don't have as the Bantu. We don't have it in our lingo. How does it come through?
Well, my real surname, I was born Yvonne Machaka.
Machaka.
Machaka, yes. I come from the royal family in the Northern Province. So my father was supposedly a chief in that area, but he ran away and went to Johannesburg.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he was the only son. He had cousins and other people. So when Phil Hollis finally found me and he said, come now, let's strategize. How are we going to make you popular out there? And he said, I want to make you a star. And I looked at this man and I thought, wishful thinking. And he said, okay, your name is Yvonne Machaka. That's not appealing in the entertainment area.
It's too long.
And I looked at him and I thought, this man is mad. I had no idea what he was talking about. So he asked me, what is your nickname? I said, I don't have a nickname. What was your nickname at school? I thought, no, I'm not telling him, you know. But at school, I used to be an athlete. I used to be a sprinter.
Oh.
I ran 200
Wait a minute.
Ks. Yes.
You're joking, Mama.
Yeah.
You were light that fast.
I was very skinny, very lean, and I did not do 400 meters. I did 200 or 100 meters.
Whoa.
Very, very fast. And they used to call me Machaka Chaka.
Machaka Chaka.
Machaka Chaka, you know.
So Chaka
So-
Chaka means vibrant.
Well, I have
hyper?
no clue. I really have no clue, you know. In fact, I thought the kids were teasing me. I didn't like it. So when I told Phil Hollis that, you know, at school they used to call me Machaka Chaka, you know, and he thought it was too long, and he cut it. He says, Yvonne Chaka, Yvonne Machaka, you know, and he was playing around with everything, writing it on the board, and I was looking at this man like wasting my time, you know, mad. He's mad.
Yeah.
But eventually he said, Yvonne Chaka, Chaka. That sounds very good in my ears. You know, it sounds good in everybody's ears. And that's how I ended up being Yvonne Chaka Chaka.
Wow, there you have it. Mama is this is such a good story. It's such a long but brilliant story. I actually love the way it comes through. One, your name stayed intact. Your surname stayed intact, and your other name of Yvonne stayed intact. Let's look at you growing up in a family where father was not there, but mother was there. What was the feeling like, and what picture does it portray about the African woman?
You know, when I grew up, my dad, I was daddy's girl. I was daddy's girl, and I could have married my dad.
Oh.
He was a man. He was a perfect man.
When you say you were daddy's girl, you must have grown up like a tomboy. Girls who love their dads grow up as tomboys.
I actually was a tomboy. I used to like
love it.
fighting boys. I was a bully. Yeah.
Huh.
But when I grew up, I was a real bully.
Okay.
I never fought with girls. I thought girls were too fragile. I fought with boys.
Wow.
And I thought because I'm the last one of the three girls, I had to protect my two elder sisters.
Ah.
So I only wore trousers. I started wearing dresses as a big girl.
Right.
I've always worn trousers, because I thought I'm this boy,
Yeah.
So
Were you doing these just to create a support structure of your own
I
protection?
think so. I really think so, because even at school, when boys or other girls were bullying my two sisters, they would come into the classroom and call me.
Chaka!
And I was the young one, it would be like, Vonnie, come deal with them. And I did, and I dealt with them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I had friends, boys. I didn't have girlfriends.
Wow.
All my friends were boys. So I saw myself as this boy, But when my dad died, I was 11 years old. But from when I was young, he would go with me everywhere. And my father on Saturdays, he would clean the house. He would clean the kitchen. He would make the fire and put breakfast for everybody.
Wow.
And he would go wherever he went to. And when he came back in the evening, obviously had his drinking or whatever, he never bothered anybody. And my dad must have beaten me once when I did something naughty, but he would always ask my mother to beat us up if we did something wrong. But when he passed on, things were really not easy.
Yeah.
So you can imagine a household of 3 girls and a mother. But I look back today as a 53-year-old and say, my mother was smart.
Yeah.
She guarded us. She protected us. She was just, she cushioned us. And you never understand when you're a young boy because, you want Uncle George
Of course.
and Uncle Peter to come because
They're
maybe
your
they'll give
favorite.
you $1, maybe, and like take this. But, she would close the windows and stand there and they'll come in and say, we're coming to check on you. And she'll say, we're fine. The girls are fine. Just
We're
leave. Yeah, just leave. And we thought she was mean. But, she was protecting us because you could imagine that anything could have happened. Guys would have come there, tried to touch your boobs and things like that. But she was there for us. And I look back and I say to her, thank you very much for being there for us, for protecting us, for not giving everything that we wanted, but for giving us everything that we needed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your father seems to have been one of those great icons you loved. The late Hugh Masekela calls you his madness. What kind of music was your dad listening to? Because it seems to have been like one of the loving dads. Every weekend you're expecting daddies in the kitchen. I can imagine a modern man like me every other morning to wake up and make something for my son Mandela.
And even clean.
And clean,
even
yes.
clean.
Yes.
Uncle Hugh was like my uncle.
Oh, yeah.
We come from this long family tree, and there's just no one like him.
Yeah.
There's no.
I agree.
There will never be another Hugh Masekela.
True.
There's always been one Hugh Masekela, and I really hope we South Africans could really appreciate this man.
Yeah.
A great musician. Obviously, when I grew up, my dad listened to their music, which, by the way, was not exposed in South Africa because they were in exile. So their music was not very easy to find. But my dad would go to all these shops and find Mary Makeba's music, Mahalia Jackson, even Louis Armstrong. I mean,
Wow.
Dad listened to all that funny music. But we
Funny.
grew, well, I mean, Louis Armstrong, you can imagine. But Mahalia Jackson, yes, Hugh Masekela, Jonas Gwangwa, you would really find that music, which was some of that music was forbidden in South Africa. But, you know, Dad will have these vinyls and he'll lock them up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm imagining the morning when your dad is listening to you, Masekela, because South Africa, by then, it was a noisy area. And because you're in Soweto, I come from down, we call them Abantu Bawansi. When it's a weekend and you're playing music, the one with the loudest, you know, hoofer, whatever they call it, is the best. So how was it like for you?
Oh, you know, growing up in Soweto, I must say, it was good. It was good because we were all one big happy family. You would not stand with a boy or with George in the street there with a girl and try to chat. The mother next door will beat you up, tell your mom that she was standing with a boy in the streets, and your mother will beat you up. So we were one big, close family. But obviously, we live in the townships. Those with high and big speakers, put them outside. I don't know what is this thing about putting speakers outside, but that's Africa. We put the speakers outside and we will play all the music, I mean, with the loudest volume. And people will dance in the streets. I mean, my dad was known that every Friday there's a new song. We'll hear the new song. I mean, sexual healing. They first had it at my house. Dad bought all those vinyls. I mean, songs like Millie Jackson, you know, all these artists. Dad would buy every Friday. We knew that Dad's coming with a new vinyl, and just putting the music out there. And if next door's one is making noise, but it was such fun. It really was fun because that's how we Bantus live.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you have it. Well, we're still having a conversation with Mama Yvonne Chaka Chaka. We're having a great moment. We have actually done, you the men who are actually there and you're watching this, she has told you the right thing to do. Take time, make something for your family. The dad did something that was incredible, mopping every Saturday. You can imagine here, the young men like me and my friend calls a Piper, we always have hangovers the previous night, or we went out with the boys and we're having a lot of hangover, but you can change the routine. Wake up in the morning, celebrate your family, make them breakfast, be the father their daughters and sons need to see. Well, I'll be joining Flavia in the studios. Of course, we are talking about the 100 years of Madiba Mandela, and we have Chaka, Yvonne Chaka Chaka, who actually happened to celebrate with him the 8 years when he was still alive, and that is a lot of energy we're tapping into with Chaka Chaka. Just so you know, between me and you, the word Chaka Chaka or the name Chaka Chaka means someone who is fast, vibrant, versatile, and, you know, up for anything. Are you Chaka this morning?
Thank you so much, Andrew Chamagro. By the way, Andrew, I don't know if you forgot to get all those details, the juicy details from her about the concert that she's here for, because we're all waiting to go watch her. So I don't know if you can catch up on that.
Oh, yeah. Just a quick one. Flavia in studio wants to know the concert, the charity concert that is actually coming through. What should we expect as you get it?
Well, the charity concert that is happening on tomorrow, on Friday at the Serena Hotel. There's some couple of surprises. I found a young Ugandan girl. She sings my songs better than I do. I went for a rehearsal at some, I don't know, the other side of Munyonyo, you know. There's a band that was rehearsing. Obviously, I'll be doing some of the songs with a backtrack. But for me, it's like sharing, you know, and empowering others and imparting my skill. So there's a Ugandan band that I'm going to be working with. There's some honorable coming. What's his name? The musician.
Bobby Wine.
Bobby Wine.
Yeah. Actually, let me put you to speed. Bobby Wine is the young Julius Malema.
Is here Julius Malema. All right, so let's see him. Let's meet with him. What is nice is that when Jackie kept on saying Honorable Bobby Wine, I'm like, well, how can he be honorable?
And
is
he's
it
a
parliament? He's a Bobby. He's a Wine. He's honorable and all sorts of things.
I feel you.
But it's actually so nice to know that couple of artists are coming through to do this.
Yeah.
I'm doing this for nothing, and I'm expecting them to be part of this, and I really appreciate them because, you know, we artists, we really need to be paid for doing all these things, but everybody's giving their time for absolutely nothing, and I'm grateful for that, you know, to happen. There's a young man called Jimmy as well. He wants to sing 2 of Lucky Dube's songs, and this young lady, I mean, she sings, she's amazing. So it's a concert where we'll be giving, caring, the spirit of Mandela, you know, and to say it's time for us Africans to start doing things for ourselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, Flavia. It's time for us Africans to do things for ourselves. It's a fusion of Ugandans fusing with South African energy and, of course, with Mama Chaka.
And the Queen of Africa, Yvonne Chaka Chaka. Of course,
We'll
give you your moments to enjoy and get all the autographs you want.
I'm with
we'll
the
come back
Queen
to
of Africa.
Yes, thank you so much, Andrew Tamagoro. Yes.